My name's Elijah. I am a Texas Tech student, and I am currently majoring in multidisciplinary studies with concentrations in organizational leadership, natural resource management, and general business. I've been a tech student since 2019. I plan to one day own a fishing hatchery for stocking lakes, ponds, rivers, and creeks. I hope with my major I'm able to save fish populations and bring new interest to the sport of fishing.
My name's Kaylee. I'm majoring in animal science, pre-vet with minors in chemistry, natural resource management, and military science. With my majors and my minors, I'm hoping to own my own vet business on my own ranch in the Army, because that's what military science is for. And we are going to be discussing, do you want to talk about it? What we're discussing?
So we will be discussing if food is a basic human right. We will also later be discussing GMOs. But to begin, we're going to share our opinions on whether or not we believe that food is a basic human right. Kaylee, do you think food is a basic human right?
No, I don't. I don't think it is. I don't think it should be. Do you?
Yes, I do think that food is a basic human right.
Alright. Do you support GMOs?
I do support GMOs. Do you support GMOs?
Nope.
Alright, so we're going to have a little bit of a, what's it called?
Discussion.
We'll have a discussion, talking about our opinions on the subject, or subjects. So to begin, I think that food is a basic human right because when babies are born, at least for mammals, mothers will naturally feed their babies, and so that's why I think food is a basic human right. Yeah.
But like, how is that a right and not an instinct?
Well, because like a baby can't feed itself, or like same with like a child or like an infant. An infant can't really like feed itself, and so yeah, like a parent or like some sort of guardian has to feed that child, and so that's why I think that food is a basic human right. Because it's kind of hard for a child to hunt or work for food, or even like grocery shop or something weird like that. So yeah, that's why I think that food is a basic human right. Yeah, why don't you think that food's a basic human right?
Because it's a need and a right are two different things. Food is obviously a necessity, but I don't think that it should be a right, because the issue with food insecurity is distribution. It's because, and it's not like the U.S. isn't distributing food enough, it's people are being lazy. And I feel like if we continue to just hand people things, that our population is just going to get lazier and fatter. And it's a need, it is a necessity to survive, but that doesn't make it a right. Doesn't mean we should implement it in our Constitution. I think that there's plenty of ways to access food for people that can't do it. Like with children, that's an instinct. It's nature to feed your young as a mother, and then it's also nature to wean, and then becomes your responsibility to access that food. It's not the government's responsibility.
I kind of agree with some of the things that you said. I think food is a great motivator for workers and entrepreneurs. And I do believe that the problem with food is distribution. I think people have the right to work and along with the right to work comes with the right for food. Like people have a choice where they can go to work and buy their own food, or they can rely on the government to feed them and give them food stamps. And so I think at least in America, food is a right, or at least it's treated that way, because the government will give you food stamps and give financial aid, I guess, for food. But like I said, food's a great motivator. People want to satisfy some sort of hunger that they have, especially young people, and it can be used to motivate workers. Let's see.
I don't think that makes it a right. I think that's more the government addressing the poverty situation and food insecurity in the U.S. It's not really making food a human right. It's more like addressing the insecurity issues inside the U.S. the same way we do globally, the way we're fighting global hunger and everything like that. It's not necessarily, the government doesn't have to do it, but in order to keep that America's great, America's the best country in the world, we have to paint that persona. And our poverty level is kind of, when you come into the U.S. and you see people living on the street, it doesn't really, it's in your first time in the U.S., it doesn't really look like the land of the free, does it?
Oh, I think so. I hope so.
I don't know. I don't think the government should make it a right. I don't think it is a right. I think it's more like an issue. It's a need.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of homeless people that go hungry. But
government's responsibility. You know what I mean? I don't think it needs to be.
I don't think people should have to live with food insecurity. I think jobs should be readily available for people, so that they can make money, so that they can buy their own food.
Well, what about situations like COVID, where people couldn't work?
Right.
Do you think that was the government's responsibility to feed people?
No, but I do think that the workplaces know that food is kind of a right in America, and people do need money to support their families, support their children, and buy food and all that kind of stuff. So, so companies, I'm sure, tried to pay people, and I know the government did do not disability checks, but what were they called?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they handed out checks, but yeah.
What about GMOs and everything? Do you think that when it comes to making food a right, do you think there's certain types of food that should be made a right, or do you think that every people should have access to every single kind of food, or do you think that soup? Personally, I think soup kitchens and charities are plenty, and plenty resource for people to be fed.
Yeah, I think that the government does kind of.
So, but do you think by making it a right that it's poverty levels are going to change, that people are going to eat?
I think that if people get hungry enough, they'll find a way to make things happen. It's also, the only thing is, I know that when the U.S. sends food to foreign countries for foreign aid, oftentimes that food is withheld from citizens, because the local governments want to have control over their citizens, and the one that controls the food, controls the people, controls the workers. So distribution is a real issue, and I know that I just think it's apparent that um, food distribution is, and food being withheld from people is wrong. So um, let me see.
Okay. So you think implementing food into the Constitution is going to fix those problems?
I have no idea what that means.
Well, that's what making it a right would mean. It means it would be in the Constitution. It'd go along with the right to bear arms, freedom of speech. You think that making it a right would immediately solve every issue we have with hunger in the world?
No. Nope.
So then there's no point making it a right. See what I mean?
Yeah, I think that. I think that you do have a point. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to GMOs.
Okay. Yes. GMOs. Let's see.
So you support GMOs? Why?
I support GMOs because I think that, well, first of all, GMOs are genetically modified organisms. You can genetically modify corn or chickens or something like that to grow them extra large and stuff like that. I support the use of GMOs because I think that GMOs will end up saving humanity from starvation in multiple situations. I mean, an example of this would be the number of chickens. If you have 5 normal-sized chickens and 5 super-sized chickens made from GMOs, those super-sized chickens can help feed more people. And so I think that GMOs are still, today I think they save people from starvation. Yeah, that's why I support the use of GMOs. Why don't you support the use of GMOs?
I just think that it's kind of sketchy. I agree with it's useful when it comes to producing more meat or more product per crop or animal, but it's kind of just weird. Most people just don't like the sound of the genetic modification. It just sounds like it wouldn't be right. And then there's also concerns for cancer. And there's no research that really shows that GMOs are doing any good or are changing anything. But there's also no specific research that proves that they're bad. So I think it's really hard to form an opinion on GMOs when there's no research on anything. And I think it's such a new technology that it's not very well known. And it's kind of hard to say, oh, I'm not going to eat any GMOs, because everyone eats GMOs. Bananas did not look like bananas. They looked a lot different before we started selective crop producing. I don't know the word for that. It's not selective breeding, but something like that. But I just think, cancer's an issue with a mutation in your genetic code, and I feel like that could raise some concerns when you're introducing modified genes into a system that's already struggling with its genetic code anyways.
And I know you researched this, that some crops have grown a resistance to GMOs, and that can be concerning too.
Not to GMOs, but to pesticides and weed killers. They haven't really if we're producing GMOs to be resistant to weed killers like Roundup, but then you're spraying those foods with chemicals, and then we're eating those chemicals, and we're putting those chemicals in our body on top of modified genes, and then those weeds that we're trying to kill and those pesticides that we're trying to kill are becoming resistant to it. So it's we're basically just spraying chemicals onto our food for no point. There's no reason to be spraying those chemicals when the stuff that we're trying to kill, is resistant to it. So it's what's the point of them still?
Yeah, like personally, I wouldn't want to eat fertilizer. You know, if I had an option where, you know, I could, you know, eat something that doesn't have fertilizer on it or eat something that has fertilizer. I mean, wait, did I say that right? Yeah. I would rather have, you know, something organic rather than you know, lettuce or something or some sort of crop that has fertilizer sprayed on it. Because yeah, I wouldn't want to get sick. I wouldn't want cancer or have some weird sort of DNA mutation. But I do think the pros outweigh the cons only because um, at a global scale and with population rising constantly, I think that GMOs and supersizing food basically can help portions go around and make sure that everyone has enough to eat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm Kaylee.
I'm Elijah.
That was, you know, I don't support. I do not think that food should be basic human right. I think that there's plenty of access for food, and I think that there's not enough research on GMOs to have a definite standpoint on them.
And I think that food is a basic human right. I think that um, food is just one of the basic necessities to live, and that's what kind of makes it a right. Um, and also that GMOs are a good thing because they can help with starvation. Not help with starvation, but help the fight against starvation and make sure that there's enough food to go around. So yeah, this is our presentation. Thank you for watching. We really enjoyed you. And yeah, we'll see you later.